In this piano tutorial, we'll be learning the song Your Presence is Heaven to Me by Israel Houghton in the key of D major. And this song was requested through the comment section. So if you have any song requests, feel free to leave them down below in the comment section. So let's start off with the basic chords, right? It starts off with a very easy progression, starting on the 6, then the 4, and then the 1, right? That progression repeats throughout the first verse. Right? I'm simply playing the melody on top of the chords. So and we can get creative with the chords we use in between. So one way that I like to approach this progression, right, 6, 4, 1, is by thinking about passing chords that I can use in between the chords, right? For example, one of the transitions that we do is from the 6 to the 4. We have a space in between those two chords where we can fill up with a passing chord in this case, right? And one of my go-tos is the secondary dominant. So if we want to get to the 4, we simply think about the 5th of the 4, which happens to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? D, which is the 1 in this case. But we can play it as a dominant chord, and it serves as a passing chord. So da, 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 right? Sometimes it's much, but we're just doing this for the purpose of learning different approaches to the songs that we know, right? So da, 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 right? In this case, I used the same chord but with a different voicing, right? I started off on the 6, da, da, da. Then I played this D7, right, over that 5 or the A, right? Da, 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 right? Another option that we have is to omit the 6 completely, right? We can just start off on the 1, right? So da, 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 da. But in this case, instead of going to the regular 4, I'm actually voicing the 4 as a 4 over 6. So da, 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 and then for the 1, I'm voicing it as a 1 over 5. Right? Right, that's another transition that we can do. For example, to get back to that 6, all I did was play a 1 chord as an arpeggio, right? It seems complicated when you think about all these melodies, but when you think about melodies in terms of actual chords, it becomes slightly easier, right? All I'm doing is playing a D major as an arpeggio right there. So, right, same thing with this section, right? I'm just playing an A major, first inversion with the added 2, right? Then we get to the 6. Again, back to that beginning of the progression. Another passing chord that we can use, right? In this case, I'm using the passing chord from the 4 to get to the 6. Right? In this case, I'm actually playing a 3 as a passing chord to get to the 6, right? And that's a very common passing chord when we hear, right? It's simply another secondary dominant, right? That 3 is the 5 of the 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? F sharp as a passing chord, but what I'm doing is inverting the chord. I'm actually playing it as a drop 2 voicing in this case, right? We have this F sharp or a drop 3 voicing, right? We're taking the third note from the top. So 1, 2, 3, that B flat, I'm bringing it down. And we get to that 6th chord, okay? So we can actually include another passing chord before the passing chord. In this case, I used an E major, which is a 2. So it would be like, so 2, 3, 6, something like that. But in this case, I'm just voicing it in this way, right? An E major add 2. And I'm just arpeggiating some of the internal notes, right? And we're back to this chord right here, and then we reach the 6. We can even do a 7, 3, 6 progression, right? It's a little bit out there, but again, the purpose of these lessons, these tutorials, so that you learn different approaches to progressions that we're probably already used to, right? So we can even get creative with some of the substitutions we use. For example, remember I said we used this chord before getting to the 4. Another chord that it has similar notes, but it includes some extra notes, would be this chord right here, right? It sounds a little bit full. It's a C, 6, 9, sharp 11. But I'm not actually thinking about these extensions in C. I'm actually thinking D major over C, right? That's the original chord that we had right here, right? D7 over C. But in this case, I'm thinking D7 or D over C major, right? That gives me that chord. And let's see how it sounds, right? Who is like you, Lord? Right? It tends to work out. Right? And right there you saw that I included an E minor. Where did that come from? That's another substitution that we can use, right? When we play a G major or 4, most of the times we can substitute that 4 for a 2 and all of its voicings, right? So so a whole bunch of stuff that we've been able to come up with, but we're still in the first verse. So let's move on to the next part. Your presence. Right, this section, it starts off sort of on a 1/5. So your presence, which resolves to a regular 5. So D over A to an A major is heaven. And then it repeats the same pattern, but with the 4, right? We play a 5/4, and then resolve to the 4, to me, and then we get to the 1, right? Very simple progression. To me. Now this pattern right here that we do is very simple. The melody, all it does is play, right? It plays C sharp or D flat, D, E, F sharp or G flat, and then A. Da 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 da. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? a way that we can harmonize it with our right hand, right, while playing like actual chords, we can do something like this, right? We play basically in major 6, or you can think about it as minor thirds down below. So or so one more time. Your presence is heaven to me. Right, so what I like to do in this section, forgive those hiccups at the end right there. So before getting to the 5, for example, while still maintaining the melody, we can actually play a 2, right? But voiced in this way, right? Your presence, right? So E major, voiced in this way, where the melody is up top. And then this note is sort of leading us to the 5, right? Your presence. We can also invert the 5. So play it, in this case, over the 7, right? Over that C sharp. So your presence is heaven, right? Something like that. 3 to the 4. Also get creative with that section. We don't necessarily have to play that part of the song. We can actually play a whole different progression in that whole section, because if you notice, we're actually just staying on the 1. So one of the progressions that we can play is actually a flat 7 to the 4 to the 1, right? So flat 7, 4, and then 1. That's I guess we can call it sort of a reverse 2-5-1, right? Usually when we play a 2 to the 5 to the 1, we can substitute that for a flat 7, 4, and the 1. We're basically going in reverse in the circle of fifths, okay? So it would sound something like this. So so the way that I played that, I voiced it as a C major 7, right? That's that flat 7. Then I came down to the 4 as a G major add 2, and then the 1. So right? So let's move on into the next section of the song, right? Where we basically end on the 4. Your presence is heaven to me. Right, in this progression, all we're doing is playing a 4 to a 5 over 4, right? And then a 4 again. And a 5 over 4, and it's sort of serving as a build up to get to that 1 in the next section. So one of the options we can do in that pre-chorus, right? So we can actually go to a minor 4, right? In this case, G minor 7, and then to a flat 7 over that 4, right? We're still using that 4 as a pedal point. So now we're in this section. The progression is very simple. Again, we're doing 1, 6, 5, 4. Right, and that's one of the substitutions or different extensions that I like using for the 6 in this case, right? So we're playing the 1, right? And then I go to this B minor 11, right? Now this chord right here, the way that we come up with it is by playing, right, that D major 7, which is the 1. I add the 9th, right? We're still thinking in terms of D major. And then I add the 6, right? I double up on the 5 up here, and I add the minor 7th in terms of B in this case, right? And we get that chord, very full, very rich. So then we play the 5, then the 4. And if we want to stay as close to the melody, we can actually play the 4 like we're seeing right here on the software as a G6-9, which is simply, I think about it as a G major add 2, but I add this 6 right here, right? Or you can even think about it as an E minor over G. So right, in this case I'm using a passing chord again on the 3, right? We spoke about it before, using this 3 as a passing chord to get to the 6, but I'm using a different voicing. In this case, it's a F sharp 7, sharp 5, right? The sharp 5 would be right here, that D. Right, and an easier way of thinking about it, I'm actually just playing an F sharp augmented with the 7th, right? But I'm voicing it slightly different. Okay, so that's basically the whole song. What I'm going to do now, like always, is play the whole song throughout without any interruptions, and I'll leave a MIDI file in the description so you can download it and practice on your own time.